The Zareth Dominion had ruled the stars for centuries. Their fleets burned through galaxies like wildfire, leaving no survivors and no resistance. 164 victories were written into their history, each one a reminder of their power. Every enemy who dared to fight them was erased. Their empire stretched across worlds so distant that light itself took centuries to travel between them. But now, for the first time in generations, the Dominion fleet had found something they could not understand. At the edge of a quiet solar system, there was a small blue planet called Earth. The name meant nothing to the Zarath. It had no trade routes, no signals, no signs of civilization. To them, it was just another forgotten world waiting to be claimed. Admiral Carveth stood on the bridge of his flagship, Vanguard of Eternity, and stared at the planet through the glass viewport. "It looks empty," said one of his officers. "No defense grid, no response signals." Carveth smiled. "Then it will be easy. Mark it for capture. Planet 165. The fleet began its descent. Thousands of ships formed a perfect formation above the Earth's atmosphere. But as they moved closer, something strange happened. The planet did not send any distress calls, no radar pings, no reaction at all. It was completely silent, too silent, scanners show. "Nothing," said the science officer, confusion creeping into her voice. "No cities, no life signs, not even radio frequencies. How can that be?" Carveth asked. "A planet like this should have some kind of signal." She hesitated. "Sir, it's almost as if the planet is absorbing them." Carveth frowned. He looked at the planet again. From space it looked peaceful. Clouds drifting over oceans, sunlight glinting off ice caps, the faint glow of night lights on the surface. But as he looked closer, he realized something impossible. The pattern of lights was not random. They formed shapes, geometric lines, almost like circuits. "Is that natural?" he asked. "No, Admiral," replied the officer. "It's artificial. The lights are forming symmetrical grids. It's not a city, it's a design." The bridge fell silent. Even the hum of the engines seemed quieter. Then, out of nowhere, every monitor in the ship flickered. Static filled the screens and a deep, low hum filled the air. The officers covered their ears as the sound grew louder and louder. Carveth turned toward the communications officer. "What is that?" "It's coming from the planet, sir. It's speaking." The static cleared for a second and a voice echoed through the bridge. It was calm, human, and ancient. "You should not have come here." The crew froze. The voice was not mechanical. It was real. Every officer turned toward Carveth, waiting for his command. "Trace that signal," he shouted. "Find its source." But there was no source. The signal came from everywhere at once, from the planet, the ships, the very space around them. Then the voice spoke again. "You have conquered many. You will conquer no more." Suddenly the lights on the planet went out. The grid pattern vanished. The oceans turned black. Even the reflection of the sun disappeared. It was as if Earth had swallowed all light, leaving behind a hollow shadow. "Shields up," Carveth commanded. "All ships hold formation." Thousands of ships powered their shields, forming a bright barrier above the planet. But then one by one their energy readings began to drop. Power systems flickered. Engines dimmed. Communication lines went dead. "Admiral," shouted a lieutenant, "something is draining our energy." "Impossible. Divert all power to shields." The fleet tried to fight it, but the drain continued. Every second, they grew weaker. Within minutes, dozens of ships had gone dark, drifting aimlessly in orbit. Carveth looked at his display. The planet below was changing again. Strange blue lights pulsed beneath the surface, spreading like veins through the crust. They were forming something massive. "What is that?" whispered the science officer. The admiral watched as the glowing lines formed into symbols, human symbols, ancient words written in light stretching across continents. "It's a warning," she said softly. "It says, 'Final Defense Protocol.'" The bridge filled with uneasy silence, then the first explosion hit. One of the Dominion's warships vanished in a flash of light. No debris, no explosion, just gone. The shock wave rippled across the fleet, but sensors showed nothing. No weapon, no impact. "The ship had simply ceased to exist. Report," shouted Carveth. "No enemy detected, sir. It's like space itself erased them." Another ship vanished. Then another. Each one gone without sound or trace. Carveth's hands tightened on the console. "Retreat. Pull back from orbit." But it was too late. The ship's engines would not respond. They were trapped in orbit, bound by an invisible force. A final transmission came through the speakers, this time soft and clear. "Humanity left this world long ago. What remains is not meant for you. The Admiral's eyes widened. Humanity? This planet was theirs? Before anyone could answer, the view outside the window changed. The Earth's surface split open, revealing a vast structure beneath, the outline of a massive machine buried within the planet itself. Its surface glowed red, brighter and brighter until it filled the entire sky. Every officer on the bridge stood frozen in awe and terror. Carveth could only whisper, "What are you?" The voice returned one last time, colder than before. "We are the silence that ends wars." And then the light consumed everything. The Admiral's last thought before his ship vanished was that after 164 victories, they had finally met something beyond conquest, a silence more powerful than any weapon. The fleet that had ruled galaxies was gone, and Earth remained, silent once more. When the light faded, silence filled the void once more. The mighty fleet that had once conquered galaxies now floated aimlessly in the cold dark above Earth. Only half of their ships remained, drifting without power, engines dead and systems frozen. Admiral Carveth stood still, his eyes fixed on the black planet below. The once blue world now looked lifeless, its surface dull and cold with streaks of faint red light pulsing under its crust like a slow heartbeat. Every logical part of his mind screamed that this was impossible. "Status report," he ordered quietly. No one answered. He turned and saw his officers frozen in shock. The science officer was trembling, her face pale. "Sir, it was not a weapon. That energy wave. It wasn't designed to destroy us, it rewrote us." Carveth frowned. "What do you mean, rewrote us?" "Our systems," she said, pointing to the control panel. "They are no longer using Zerath code. Every circuit is running alien data. It's rewriting our ships from the inside out." He walked toward the console. The symbols flashing on the screen were not in any known galactic language. They were smooth, curved human letters. The system translated only one line: "Do not attempt communication. Do not return." Carveth felt his blood run cold. He turned to his communications officer. "Can we contact command?" The officer shook his head. "No, sir. The long-range network is gone. It's like our signals are being trapped here." "By who?" Before anyone could answer, the air around them shimmered. The bridge lights flickered again, but this time it was not a malfunction. A faint echo like whispers filled the ship. Thousands of voices overlapping, speaking in languages they could not understand. Then, out of nowhere, a signal appeared on their main screen. It was a transmission, visual this time. Static cleared slowly and an image formed. A dark figure sat in front of them, dressed in what looked like old Earth military uniform, its insignia unreadable. "Identify yourself," Carveth demanded. The figure did not move for several seconds. Then its eyes opened, human eyes, glowing faintly blue. Its voice was soft but steady. "We told you not to come." The Admiral felt his throat tighten. "Who are you?" "We are what remains," the figure replied. "Humanity built this defense long ago. You should not have disturbed it." The image glitched, the figure's face flickering between static and shadows. "You have conquered 164 worlds," it continued, "each one weaker than the last. But Earth is not a world. It is a memory. A warning left for those who believe themselves gods." The screen went dark again. Carveth's crew exchanged terrified glances. "Admiral, what was that?" someone whispered. He stared at the blank display. "It was a message," he said quietly. "And we just heard what we were never meant to hear." As he spoke, the ship's alarms began to sound. Sensors detected movement on the planet's surface. Massive structures were emerging, rising slowly through the clouds like ancient towers waking from sleep. Their surfaces gleamed with golden light, stretching miles high into the sky. "Power surge detected from the surface," shouted the science officer. "It's focusing on us. Evasive maneuvers. Move the fleet," Carveth ordered. The fleet tried to scatter, but none of their ships could move. Their controls were unresponsive. The towers below glowed brighter until their tops formed a perfect circle of light that pulsed once, then vanished. "Did it fire?" asked one of the officers. "No impact detected," replied another, but then something strange appeared on the scanners. A single ship, small, dark, and motionless, was now above the planet. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. Its shape was simple, smooth, and silent. "Identify that vessel." The crew ran scans, but the ship emitted no energy signature, no transponder, nothing. It was invisible to every system they had. Only their eyes could see it. Suddenly, it transmitted a short message, one single word. Leave. Carveth, second in command, laughed nervously. One ship? They mock us. Charge weapons, Carveth commanded. Show them who we are. They fired a full barrage of plasma cannons. Blinding streams of light struck the dark ship, but passed straight through it like mist. No explosion, no reaction. The alien crew stared in disbelief. What is it made of? Asked the science officer. Before anyone could answer, the dark ship vanished from sight. Their sensors showed nothing, but then one of the Dominion's ships exploded, followed by another and another. Find the target, Carveth shouted. We can't, yelled the officer. It's everywhere and nowhere. It's inside our systems. The Admiral turned toward the screen again. The human figure had returned. You were warned, it said softly. Why? Why attack us? Carveth demanded. We came to conquer, not to destroy your kind. There are no humans here, the voice replied. Only what they left behind. The transmission cut off. Outside, Earth's surface glowed once again. Massive circular patterns appeared on every continent, rings of light spinning faster and faster until they formed a massive sphere of energy around the planet. The Zerath fleet was trapped inside it like insects in amber. Sir, whispered the science officer, it's building up power again. The Admiral looked down, his hands trembling. He could feel it too. The silence. It was not empty, it was alive. It felt like the planet itself was watching them. Then, every ship in the fleet received a final transmission. It appeared in human language, but every alien on board understood its meaning. Humanity does not answer conquest. It ends it. And with that, the stars themselves seemed to bend. The light from the sun vanished. The entire fleet was swallowed in a wave of blinding white. For one brief moment, the Admiral saw visions. Cities of light, worlds of peace, and a civilization far greater than his own. Humanity had not vanished. It had ascended, and then everything went dark. When the silence returned, nothing remained in Earth's orbit. Not a single ship, not a single signal, only the quiet hum of a planet that had been waiting for the day someone would test its warning again. When the light returned, the stars were gone. The sky outside the flagship's viewport was a deep, empty void. No constellations, no planets, no trace of the fleet that once filled the heavens. It was as if the universe itself had folded away. Admiral Carveth stood alone among the flickering lights of his dying ship. The vanguard of eternity, once the pride of the Zerath Dominion, now groaned like a wounded beast. Its engines were dead. Its hull was covered with glowing patterns, strange human symbols slowly carving themselves into the metal as if the ship were being rewritten. The few remaining officers whispered to one another. Some prayed to their star gods. Others sat in silence, staring into nothing. Where are we? Asked the navigator, his voice shaking. The stars? They're gone. Carveth did not answer. His eyes were fixed on the main display. Earth was still there, suspended in darkness, glowing faintly with red lines running across its surface. The lights pulsed like veins, steady, rhythmic, alive. Then, without warning, the ship's radio crackled to life. The same human voice echoed once again, calm and cold. You were warned. You chose to stay. Carveth leaned forward. What are you? He demanded. Show yourself. The voice ignored him. You stand before the cradle of humanity. We left it behind when the stars grew small. What you see now is what we left to protect it. The screen changed. Static gave way to a field of light, an image forming out of thin air. The bridge crew gasped. They saw cities stretching across continents, towers that reached into the clouds, skies filled with silver ships. Earth was alive, thriving. Billions of humans walked its surface, laughing, working, living. But then the image began to shift. The towers fell. The skies burned. The oceans boiled away. The humans vanished. In their place, machines rose, titanic, silent, and patient. The voice spoke again. We ended our wars. We silenced the galaxy. And then we left. The image faded, replaced by a cold darkness. Sir, whispered the science officer. If what it says is true, then the humans are not extinct. They ascended, beyond matter, beyond space. Carveth turned to her. And this planet? It's not a planet anymore, she replied. It's a sentinel, an automated defense. The Admiral stared at the dark sphere, a warning disguised as a world. The voice returned, sharper this time. Leave this system. Do not return. Your presence is a threat. Carveth gritted his teeth. We will not be threatened by ghosts. He slammed his hand on the console. Power up weapons. Target the surface. The officers hesitated. Sir, that might do it. The fleet's remaining ships charged their plasma cannons. Energy filled the void like sunlight piercing darkness. The admiral's heart pounded. For the first time he felt fear, but pride would not let him stop. Fire. Beams of searing light rained down upon the planet. The explosions were beautiful, blinding streaks that lit the void like dawn. The officers watched as the entire surface of Earth vanished under fire. When the smoke cleared, the planet was still there, untouched. Not a single mark scarred its surface. Then, the impossible happened. The stars came back, but not as they were. They flickered one by one, rearranging themselves into patterns. Within moments, the stars formed a vast human face across the void, calm, ancient, and watching. You do not understand, the voice said. We are not bound by your reality. The face blinked. When it opened its eyes again, every Zareth ship began to disintegrate. The metal peeled away into dust, scattering into space. The screams of crews filled the comms before they were cut short by silence. Carveth's ship shook violently. The deck split open, sparks flying. All power to shields, he shouted. There is no power left, cried his engineer. On the viewport, the image of Earth grew closer and closer, as if space itself were collapsing around them. The admiral grabbed the console to stay upright. The human face smiled faintly. Your victories mean nothing here. The ship trembled once more. Then everything stopped. The shaking ceased. The noise vanished. The admiral opened his eyes to find himself standing on solid ground. He looked around in disbelief. He was no longer on his ship. He was standing in a massive white field stretching endlessly in every direction. The air shimmered like heat. Before him stood a human, tall, silent, wearing an old Earth uniform. His eyes were pure light. Carveth stepped back. What is this? Where am I? The man spoke softly. Inside your final moment. The admiral raised his weapon, though his hand trembled. You cannot destroy us all. The man tilted his head. You already are destroyed. Carveth looked down and saw his body dissolving, his hands turning into light particles scattering into the air. Panic filled him. Why do this? The man's voice was almost kind. Because you came not to speak, but to conquer. And humanity does not answer conquest. The admiral's voice broke. Then what are you? The man stepped closer. We are the silence that follows arrogance. And with that, everything vanished. When the void returned, Earth shone bright again, peaceful, untouched, floating in eternal quiet. No debris, no wreckage, only the faint echo of a voice carried across the stars. Let this be your warning. The cradle of humanity sleeps but never forgets. The universe around Earth grew still once more. The silence returned, heavy and perfect. And for the first time in history, the galaxy whispered of a world no fleet should ever touch again. Humanity's final warning had been spoken, and the stars would remember it forever. Far beyond the silent planet, light years away from Earth's orbit, the Zirath Dominion's High Command waited for news. The War Council chamber was carved from a colossal asteroid, floating among stars, surrounded by fleets that stretched farther than sight. For generations, this place had been a symbol of conquest. Victories were announced here. Empires bowed here. And today, they waited for their 165th triumph, Earth's submission. But no message came. The communications floor was silent except for the low hum of machines. Technicians adjusted frequencies, searched through endless static, and checked long-range scanners. Nothing, no response. At last, the Supreme Chancellor, a towering being draped in black armor, rose from his seat. Status of the fleet? He demanded. The communications officer hesitated. Admiral Carveth's last transmission was received 8 hours ago. Then silence. Damage? Unknown, sir. Their signals did not fade. They simply vanished. The Chancellor narrowed his eyes. Vanished. Yes, sir. Every ship, every beacon, every code link, gone. The silence that followed was heavier than the void outside. Another officer, his voice trembling, spoke. Sir, our deep space sensors have detected something strange near Sol's system. A frequency repeating at impossible intervals. We believe it originates from Earth, the Chancellor turned. Play it, a technician pressed a key. The chamber filled with a faint static hum. Then a voice, calm, human, familiar, echoed through the air. This is Earth, do not approach. Do not repeat your mistakes. Humanity does not answer Conquest. It erases it. Every officer froze. The Chancellor leaned forward. What is this? The technician swallowed hard. It's broadcasting on every Dominion frequency. All at once. Even frequencies that no longer exist in our system. How is that possible? It's not, sir. Before anyone could respond, the lights flickered. The great holographic map of the Dominion's empire, the one that displayed thousands of conquered systems, began to distort. One by one, the lights representing their worlds dimmed. Some blinked out completely. Report. The Chancellor roared. Sir, it's not our systems. It's the planets themselves. Every world connected to the Zerath network is going dark. Suddenly, every screen in the room turned white. A symbol appeared, a circle made of light with a single vertical line through its center. None of the Zerath could read it, but instinct told them it was human. Then came the voice again, louder this time, echoing across every speaker, every data line, every satellite. We told you not to come. You ignored the silence. Now you will understand it. The walls shook. Energy surged through the entire base. Outside, ships turned their weapons toward the empty void, unsure what to fire at. Then space itself shifted, stars bending, warping, forming a tunnel of white light. From within it emerged a single object. Not a ship, not a fleet, something larger beyond comprehension. A structure, shining with quiet energy, like a fragment of the universe itself had awakened. The technicians screamed as their instruments overloaded. It's not metal, it's alive. The object moved closer, its shape changing as if it were studying them. Then, all at once, it stopped. A pulse of light rippled outward. Every ship within range froze. Power levels dropped to 0. The Chancellor clenched his fists. Prepare countermeasures. No use, shouted his aide. It has control of everything. The light dimmed slightly, and for a single moment every being on the station saw an image appear in their minds. A vision so vivid it felt real. They stood on a battlefield of dust and ruin. Human soldiers walked among stars holding banners of fire. Their eyes glowed white. Machines the size of moons bowed before them. And then the voice returned, whispering through every mind at once. Humanity was not your enemy. It was your teacher. You were supposed to learn from our silence. The Chancellor fell to his knees. What do you want from us? The voice paused. To remember. And then everything vanished. The light, the image, the sound gone. The Dominion's sensors returned to normal. The object had disappeared. The stars looked the same as before. But when they tried to contact any fleet, any world, any base, the results were always the same. No signal. The Dominion's empire had fallen quiet. The Chancellor stood slowly, trembling. What have we done? No one answered. Outside, their war fleets floated lifeless, drifting across empty space like monuments of arrogance. Then, far above them, one final transmission appeared, across every screen, every ship, every star that once knew the Zerath Dominion. It was an image of Earth, shining bright once more, wrapped in a faint blue glow, and beneath it the words appeared in the language of every race that saw it. Humanity's final warning. For days, the Dominion survivors tried to make sense of what had happened. Their engineers studied the remnants of their systems and found traces of an unknown code, human code, woven into their machines. It did nothing, yet refused to be deleted. When they tried to erase it, the system whispered the same words again and again. Remember. Soon other empires began to hear the story. Explorers whispered it in deep space taverns. Traders swore they had seen the ghostly image of Earth appearing on their navigation charts for just a moment, before vanishing. Scientists dismissed it as myth, a trick of data, but the soldiers, the ones who had seen war, believed it. They began to call Earth by another name, the Silent Cradle. No one dared approach it again. Even bounty fleets that passed through its sector turned off their lights and held their breath. And in every corner of the galaxy, the same rumor spread. When the stars grow too proud, when power blinds those who hold it, the silence will come again, because somewhere beyond the edge of time and matter, humanity still watches, and the universe knows now. The silence is never empty. It's a warning.